This photograph was taken by Anthony Berger in Washington, D.C. on February 9th, 1864. It was a favorite likeness of Robert Todd Lincoln, Lincoln's son. And as a result of it being such a favorite picture, it eventually became a part of our $5 bill and was on that bill until recently when it was replaced by another image taken at the same setting. But this is Anthony Berger's excellent picture of Lincoln in 1864. We've been calling this the Iowa Corner for our Schulte Lincoln display here at the Schulte House because we have a list of the soldiers that fought in the Civil War from Marion County and Pella, Iowa, including a drummer boy whose name is Tommy Cox. That picture was taken in 1862, or made by Gerard Nolan, actually. And then over to our right, we have Schulte's son-in-law, Dr. Benjamin Franklin Keebles, and some of the medals he had as a member of the Grand Army of the Republic in their get-togethers into the 1890s. His picture is in that large photograph of his friends and those he fought with in the war. During the war years, Dominic Schulte wore these spectacles. Behind it you will see a picture of a Union soldier. But part of the reason the war came, Lincoln felt, was because of this book, Uncle Tom's Cabin. When he met Harriet Beecher Stowe at the White House, he said, somewhat in jest, that he was meeting the little woman who had started this great big war. The impact of her work, Uncle Tom's Cabin, was very strong upon the young soldiers of that day. And it was issued at first in serial and was read that way here in the Schulte House as Count von Raming read it as it came out, section after section. But we've honored that reading here with this book, Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe, but with a pair of Schulte's own spectacles that he used at that time. This is a photograph taken at Fort Sumter in Charleston Harbor. The Federals were defending that fort when it was attacked on April 12, 1861 by the shore batteries on Charleston Harbor. It fell on April 14, 1861, and the Civil War began. And this is a picture taken of the remains of that fort after the bombing by the Confederates. Harper's Weekly published this picture of the reception at the White House. It was in January of 1861. And in that picture, we can see Abraham Lincoln standing and Mrs. Lincoln also receiving. And this, of course, is one of the first major receptions held at the White House by the Lincolns. This is the Baltimore Sun of December 2, 1862. And Lincoln's State of the Union message is in the right columns, I should say, of this paper. At that time, the State of the Union messages were delivered to the House chamber. A clerk read the message before the assemblage, and then it was published in the papers. No president of the United States, after John Adams until Woodrow Wilson, delivered a State of the Union message in person before the Congress. Woodrow Wilson had a good, strong voice, and he broke the Thomas Jefferson tradition and then spoke in person. Therefore, Lincoln followed Jefferson's tradition of only delivering a State of the Union to the Congress. Because Jefferson had a weak voice, he did not want to appear in person. At the end of the war years, there was a demand for pictures of Abraham Lincoln standing. And of course, this one was made during those years. But it really is Abraham Lincoln's head from a picture taken on February 9, 1864 by Anthony Berger, placed on the body of John C. Calhoun of South Carolina. And therefore it really isn't Lincoln, it's John C. Calhoun. But it's an interesting picture, nevertheless. These two busts are really representative of our folks for this display. We have Abraham Lincoln, and we've have also the Reverend, or as we say in Dutch, Dominee Hendrik Peter Scholte. And Reverend Scholte is a very good likeness of him about the same time as the time the statue of Lincoln was made. We have here a little log cabin and a rail fence. And the dirt we see here is really from Lincoln's birthplace site in Hodgenville, Kentucky. And the wood that came from a tree on that birthplace site was used to make the little cabin and the little rails. As a boy of 17, I visited the site where Abraham Lincoln's parents married in 1806 in Washington County. And I took a picture of a fireplace that was standing in the middle of a field all by itself, left there to just decompose. They had moved the original cabin in which the Lincoln parents were married to another site and left this fireplace to decay. I proceeded to take a piece of the hearth and original nails from that fireplace before which Lincoln's parents had been married in 1806, and to this day I have no idea what had happened to the fireplace itself. We have also here a picture which was a sketch made. Gerard Nolan made that in 1856 of the Schulte house on the north side of the square. We see the house with a little tower on the top, a store in between, and Schulte's Bank, which was on the northwest corner of Main and Washington Street. It is a special picture because it's 1856. This is a replica of the chair that was made for Dominee Scholte. The original is upstairs in his office here in the house. But on the back of the chair is a shawl that he wore when he met Lincoln in June of 1860. And when he wore that shawl, he discovered Lincoln had one exactly like it. On the wall here we have a cane. And that cane was presented to him by Lincoln according to family tradition in 1864. Behind those pieces, we have a photograph of Lincoln that was made in 1863, and it was given to me by a family of a Civil War soldier when I was a boy of about 15. On the wall, we have a picture of Mary Lincoln in her mourning apparel, taken from an original photograph which we no longer have. It's an excellent engraving of the First Lady, and it is, of course, the result of the death of their son Willie in the White House, and she is wearing her black apparel, which she wore for a better part of a year in 1862-63. The New York Herald was the first to report the assassination and death of President Lincoln. This particular paper supposedly was issued in the afternoon of Lincoln's death, the New York Herald. And next to it we have the Philadelphia Inquirer, which was issued at the time of Booth's escape. It's dated April 17, 1865, and there is a map of his escape from Ford's Theater portrayed on the front page of that paper. This is a portrayal of Columbia representing the United States, weeping over the death of her martyred son, Abraham Lincoln. In the right-hand corner, you see a representative of the United States Navy in mourning. In the left corner is a representative of the United States Army. Punch produced this picture in London, and they had been very critical of President Lincoln in his lifetime. And after his assassination, they had a change of heart and a warm portrayal of America as Miss Columbia weeping over her son.